Alright, this is Daniel Chu, aka Chewbacca. Today is day 22 out of 30 of November Rejection Challenges. If you're wondering what a rejection challenge is and why I'm doing this, there's a link to my blog in the description below. Today I am actually at the beach, and it's a beautiful, wonderful day here in San Diego for the beach. It's actually like 80 plus degrees, which is pretty uncommon. It's usually pretty temperate here. And the challenge I have today is, I think this is like a 5 out of 10. The challenge is to bother a bunch of strangers. I think the number is 10 strangers who are listening to music on the beach, lying down, listening to music, relaxing, whatever it is, and to ask them what they're listening to, and try to make a conversation out of it. So this is like, in some ways, this is like maybe more of a conversational skills challenge than it is a rejection challenge. This is listed as a 5 because it makes me uncomfortable in the sense that I think I've repeated over and over that bothering random people, bothering random strangers is not something I enjoy doing. Over the course of doing these challenges over and over again, I've kind of gotten over a lot of that. But this challenge is a little different in a couple of ways, and still does have a lot of that I don't know, anxiety to and resistance to bothering strangers because of a couple things. One is that in this case, I'm totally bothering someone who I have really zero reason to bother at all. And in the past, I've bothered people who are walking, they're on their way somewhere, right? It's easy to kind of wave my hand and stop them, get their attention, right? I've also bothered people who are sitting down, right? I think that someone who's actually on the beach and relaxing and listening to music, it's several levels of please don't bother me further than most of the people I've bothered in the past. So that makes me kind of uncomfortable. I think I have probably a lot of assumptions in my head about how that's going to work and how bothered people are going to be about that. That said, in some of my previous challenges, I actually have bothered people who had headphones in, and I can recall a couple of good scenarios where actually turned into really nice interaction. I can also recall a couple scenarios where people just kind of didn't even respond and waved me off. That was I guess the purest form of rejection from someone who is listening to music. But yeah, I guess especially if someone is listening to music, I'm gonna have to be really in their face to get their attention, right? I'm gonna walk in front of them and wave my hands and say something loudly enough that they can hear me. I don't know. Yeah. And the other thing about this challenge is that the ask here is I mean, it's pretty harmless, right? I just want to I'm curious about what people are listening to, right? But I think that this may sit in that weird band where it's not strange enough for people to pick up on the fact that something is up, or that this is just a fun interaction or something interesting is going to happen, right? When I ask people about kissing a rubber chicken or signing their hand with a Sharpie, people seem to instantly jump to oh, you must be doing this for fun or for some sort of study or something. You must be a student, or I don't know, whatever it is, right? Here, I think this is an ordinary enough and innocent enough question that it won't be construed as something ridiculous and will therefore instead be construed as something maybe socially awkward. And yeah, I don't have really many good excuses for why I'm doing this. Yeah, right? The immediate question people are going to ask is not going to be why, right? When I ask something really strange, people are why? And that kind of kicks off the interaction. Here, it's more I'm bothering you, and you respond either with kind of an invitation to continue conversation, or with body language that describes that you really don't want to be bothered right now. So yeah, I'm pretty nervous about this, honestly. It is a 5 out of 10, but this is actually, now that I'm thinking about it more, worrying me a little more than some of the other challenges. And I think the way I'm going to do this is, there's a bit of a boardwalk here, and I'm going to start out kind of as a warm-up trying to find a couple people who are listening to music while walking down the boardwalk, bother them, see if I can start a conversation. I think that will help to remove a lot of the uncertainty around like how these conversations will go. And then I will walk up and down the beach and try to find 10 people who are listening to music and relaxing and bother them. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with this, which is good. So wish me luck. Excuse me, sir. I'm wondering if you might tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
I'm trying to document my trip here. I'm from Washington State.
Washington State. Is this your first time in San Diego?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So you're listening to a video of you recording
No.
your experience here, or?
No, I'm listening to this.
Oh, cool. The
It's,
Cuban
books
affair.
on tape, yeah.
Okay, is this like Audible or is this
Yeah, that's
books on tape?
Audible.
Okay, nice, very cool, very cool.
Yeah.
What's it about, if I may ask?
Oh, it's about people going to Cuba to try and get some stolen money out of there. It's quite
Interesting.
charming, yeah.
Okay.
What's happening over there?
Oh, you mean with all those kayaks?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
Are you from here? Or?
I am, yes. I live in La Jolla. Normally, so they often have like kayak tours here that go into there are like caves in this cliffside.
Oh, where are they?
If you look like directly across here, right, like in that cliff that we're facing right now, there are a couple of like cave entry points.
Oh.
And there are actually a couple of companies along this drag right here that will they sell tours of those caves and kayaks.
Very cool. Is that something I can photograph?
Inside the caves? Yeah, if you have like a GoPro or a waterproof camera, yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah.
I've got something to put this in.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Would be an interesting experience. I don't think I haven't gone through the caves in a kayak myself, but I've swum through those caves, and they're interesting. Some of them have like little beach inlets on the other side, and yeah, it's a cool experience.
How do I get there then? That would be great. I'm going to go there now.
Yeah. Well, so I would probably recommend the like safest and easiest and most convenient thing to do would be to talk to. There's a bunch of companies along this main drag. This.
Do you know the names of any of them?
I don't, because I haven't done this in a long time. But most of them advertise pretty heavily. They'll say like cave tours on the outside or like kayak tours, things like that. And
Very cool.
yeah, you can ask them. These guys are too far from the caves to be doing that.
Are you familiar with Washington State?
I'm not, no.
Oh, okay. I live on an island up there.
Oh, really?
It's only 17 miles from the Canadian border.
Okay. Oh, wow, that's cool.
And I decided to come down here because it was getting awfully stormy and cold. And boy, what weather here.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of always summer here, right?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And is there? I've also heard that there's a. How would I get to Coronado? I've also heard that that's an interesting.
Yes,
place.
that is a cool place to go. Have you? Do you have a car or?
Yeah, I have a car. I'm
okay.
staying up in Encinitas.
Okay. Yeah. So Coronado's kind of down south a little more. It's like closer to the main downtown city area.
Well, it's an island, right?
It is an island, yes.
Do you take a ferry or?
No, there's a bridge. There's a bridge you can actually drive across, and there used to be a toll, but it's actually free now. So if you have like Google Maps or something, you just punch in like Coronado Beach.
Oh, okay.
It'll take you there.
Okay. Well, to get to where I live, I'm just trying.
You got to take a ferry.
Have to take a Washington State ferry. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And it takes an hour and 20 minutes. Get there.
Wow. So is this a pretty big island then? You have everything you need there, or like?
It's roughly the size of your Catalina.
Oh, okay. That's decently sized.
Except that it has more people.
Okay.
From what I've read.
Okay. I've only been to Catalina once. Just once, a long time ago.
I was in Catalina. Originally, I'm from Chicago, and I was in Catalina when I was 11 years old, and I remember it from back then.
Okay. Sounds like you've got a little bit of island fever overall, huh? You live on an island. You're reading about Cuba, and
You're right. You're right. That's right. And I want to go to Coronado.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you seem to have a fascination with that.
And after I get done with this part, I'm going up to Santa Barbara because I've heard you can visit the Channel Islands up there.
Oh, really? I've never been up there myself, actually. That's cool.
Yeah, one of them's a state park, apparently.
Oh, really?
And what I read was, on this island, there used to be, 11,000 years ago, there were woolly mammoths on there, and they found bones there, and they found bones of the indigenous tribes, and they decided that the indigenous tribe never ate the woolly mammoths, that they coexisted on the island.
Interesting.
And the other thing I read was, back then, the ocean level was lower.
Uh-huh.
So that meant that the woolly mammoths walked back and forth from the mainland.
I was going to ask, how did the mammoths get there? That makes sense.
But here's the funny thing.
Uh-huh.
And then as the thing rose, they interbreeded. And during the last several centuries, there were nothing but pygmy mammoths, the size of ponies.
Huh.
And they've got bones like that in the museum in Santa Barbara, and I want to see those.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I want me a pygmy mammoth, right? Like, forget about the pony, right?
Yeah, a pet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So anyway, I have a mother that's 90-some years old, and I told her I would make a video log of my trip.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And share it with her because she can't go anywhere.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, she's not on the island, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is she also in Washington State though, or?
No, she's back in Chicago, so I'm going to send it to her.
Oh, okay, awesome.
I mean, Chicago. That's
yeah, well, you nailed it. Well, how long are you here? Are you just here for the week, or for a couple days?
I'm going to be leaving here on. I'm going to be leaving Encinitas on Friday for Santa Barbara.
Okay.
And I know somebody in Santa Barbara.
Okay.
So he'll probably put me up.
Nice. Okay. Cool. So you're just in San Diego for a couple days.
What do you do professionally?
I'm self-employed, actually. Yeah.
What kind of work do you do?
Well, so I used to be a software engineer. I worked in Silicon Valley for a couple of years.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. And
then in Sunnyvale or something?
I was in Palo Alto, if you're familiar. Yeah, pretty close to Sunnyvale. I about a couple months ago actually decided that I had enough of it and quit. Moved back down here. My parents live here, so I actually live with my parents right now, which is not very sexy, but it's working well.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to basically take all of those skills that I learned in Silicon Valley and apply them for myself and kind of go into business for myself. So basically building software products and seeing if I can turn them into small businesses. Which we'll see. It's only been a couple months, so
very nice.
Yeah.
Now I'm retired, but I used to be a professor at the University of Virginia.
Oh, cool! Wow. Yeah. What did you teach?
Urban planning.
Urban planning. Okay, interesting. That's like about how we like organize cities and. Oh, nice. Exactly. Interesting. Okay.
Exactly. I did that for most of my career, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, that's cool. Did you have like an industry career in urban planning as well, or mostly academia for teaching?
Oh, no, there are. I trained urban planners that are hired by cities and counties.
Okay.
But another thing I'm doing, although I'm getting pretty old, they may not hire me. There's a job like that, and one of the reasons why I'm down here checking out La Jolla is that there's a faculty job at UC San Diego.
Okay.
Is,
oh yeah, real close.
Yeah, as a matter of fact.
Just up the hill.
Yeah, I plan to go look at the campus, and if I like it, I'm going to apply there because it's my field and it's open
and it's beautiful down here.
And I'm liking it.
Yeah, right. That's the thing about San Diego.
No,
you come.
Right. It's there, right?
UCSD. Actually, yeah, you're right.
It's there. According to Google.
I think you're right. I get confused because normally I go up this other road and it gets me to UCSD, but I think it's more or less like it's a little inland, but north. You're right.
So I thought, if I like the campus, I'll apply. But I'm so old that they may not hire me, but we'll see.
Oh, I'm sure you'll you have good odds.
I'm well qualified.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean,
The University of Virginia back there is on the same level as UC is here. So.
yeah, I mean, at University of Virginia is a very well-known school, right?
Yeah.
So I mean that's wow. Well, good luck with
As a
that.
matter
That
of fact,
sounds,
when I was there, I bought a little house by the river there. It's called the Rio River, even though it's spelled like Rio. You call it Rio, but they say Rio.
Oh, really?
And that's what they call the river, the Rio River, which is like a redundancy, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I did some research on my little house because I knew it was there way back for at least 100 years or more.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the city records and I found out that that little house was once part of Thomas Jefferson's estate.
Oh, really?
That would really turn me on.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
But most likely it was so small and primitive. I figure it was a slave house. You know?
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, this is a house that you owned?
I owned and lived in.
Oh, wow.
When I taught at the University.
Oh,
of Virginia.
that's very cool. The history of things on the East Coast is fascinating. I mean,
well,
we don't have as much
the
of that
main
here.
campus of the University of Virginia
Yeah.
was designed by Thomas Jefferson. So,
Oh, yeah.
he lived nearby in Monticello.
Right.
And he had a telescope. You go into his bedroom, he had a telescope, how he oversaw the building of the University of Virginia.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then he's buried there,
Uh-huh.
and on his tombstone, it doesn't say he was president.
Okay.
He wrote his own epitaph,
Uh-huh.
and it says, President of the University of Virginia, first president of the founder and first president of the University of
Oh,
Virginia.
interesting.
He
Interesting.
considered
It shows
that more important than being president.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, now I'm all jazzed about seeing these caves.
Yes, you should check those out.
Over there and stuff?
I'm not sure in the caves necessarily, but if you haven't had a chance to walk down La Jolla Cove, by La Jolla Cove, there are a lot of sea lions that are actually just perched on these rocks,
Cool.
and you can actually walk like right up to them. No one stops you.
My mother would like to see that.
Yeah,
She likes sea life.
Okay, yeah, it's cool to see. I have to warn you, they smell awful. But if you can get past that, it is very interesting. They all just kind of nest out there and just lie out in the sun. They sunbathe. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the information.
Yeah, definitely.
Really
What was
nice
your
talking
name?
to you. My name's Earl.
Earl? I'm
Perot.
Daniel. It's
Yeah.
nice meeting you, Earl.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And I wish you the best. Good luck
Likewise.
on your business.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
Yeah.
I would head down this way and then up for the caves. If you're looking for a tour or something. I'm sorry.
It's a drive. It's not. I can't.
You could drive. Well, it is walkable. It's like maybe 2-3 blocks.
Oh, really?
But there is parking down there, so driving
Okay, well,
driving
I'll
could
go
work as well.
investigate. Anyway,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for the tip.
Yeah. Good luck.
And who knows? I might see you here if I get in.
That sounds good. Yeah.
Of course, I'd have to sell my house on the island. But, I could keep it and go back and forth.
Right. Or you'll find a place in Coronado. You'll still live on an island and... Yeah. Take care. Huh. That wasn't so bad. Took a couple minutes, but he warmed up to talking to me, paused his book, and he took his headphones out. Excuse me, miss. I'm wondering if you might tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
Sorry.
No? All right, thank you. All right, interesting. All right, this guy's jogging, so I'm not gonna bother him. Excuse me, ma'am. I know this is random, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to take a couple minutes and tell me a little bit more about what you're reading.
Why?
I'm just curious.
It's Margaret Atwood book.
Okay. Well, Alias Grace?
Yeah.
Well, what's it about?
A murder.
A murder.
In
All
the
right.
1850s.
1850s. Okay.
This guy who's, I suppose he's an early psychiatrist. I don't think back then they actually had psychiatrists, but he's studying why she did this murder.
Okay. Huh.
and he's thinking that maybe dreams have something to do with it.
Interesting.
Maybe.
Okay, so trying to kind of get into like the mind of a criminal and
Yeah.
understand the
But
motivations.
you don't know if she did the murder or not, and I'm not sure you ever know.
Oh, interesting. So you're halfway through and you're still not sure if you're gonna find out.
Well, she's been in penitentiary
Okay,
for
interesting.
years and years and years, right? But now she's telling how she came to this house as a maid, and the people there that were murdered, they think
Huh. Interesting. How did you hear about this book particularly? Have you read other?
a good friend, and I've read other books. Plus,
Okay.
there's a movie out now by her book, The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's
Must have
Tale.
heard that, no?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh.
I think this is a very different genre of books than I normally read,
Oh,
which
okay.
is partially why it's fun and interesting to ask people what they're
You
reading.
read?
I read a lot of nonfiction.
I do too. I love nonfiction.
Yeah, I read a lot of sci-fi and occasionally some fantasy.
Sometimes
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah, this sounds like it's this is nonfiction, or is this
No,
actually
it's
fiction?
fiction.
Okay,
But
it's fiction. Okay.
Historical. It's in the 1850s.
Okay.
Up near Toronto, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm really getting to like nonfiction. Been doing a lot of that.
Well, if you could only recommend, let's say, one book in the genre, what would you recommend? I know that I hate that question too.
Well, just one that I recently read. It was called Elephant Company,
Elephant Company.
and it's the true story of a man who, he was British, and he
Okay.
went in World War I, and he survived four years of that, which
Okay.
is incredible.
Yeah.
And then when that was done, he went to Burma,
Huh.
and I think just to get away,
Uh.
and he started working for this company that cut down teak wood, and then the elephants would put it into the dry riverbed, and when the monsoons came, it would float down to the.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then they'd ship it off to wherever. But he became like the person that handled the elephants, and it's fascinating.
Huh.
Elephants just wonderful. And and then near the end of the book, all of it true. There's even some pictures.
Uh-huh.
He changed a lot of things and was more kind to them. And at the end, the Japanese came,
Huh.
and they were quite brutal, and they had to escape, and
Huh.
the elephants went on this stiff cliff and got them all out. So anyway, fascinating, really great story about, real guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it sounds like it's fast paced. Kind of reads.
Well, I don't know, maybe not. The ending is surely because
Okay.
they're escaping
Yeah.
from the Japanese, but he starts a school for baby elephants because usually they just let them off and they would die.
Right.
Because the mothers were working. So he said, let's keep them.
Right.
And train them.
Right.
And so that was kind of cute, a school for baby elephants.
Huh.
So that's what it is.
Huh. Elephant Company, you said. Okay. I will check that out.
By the guy not by the guy who did it, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. So
I don't
it's
think he wrote it himself.
okay. Interesting. So researched, investigated. Okay. Interesting.
Very good.
Huh.
What's your latest?
I would, in the vein of what you've mentioned, have you read the book Little Princes?
Oh yes, it's about an orphanage.
Yes.
In Nepal.
Yes.
Or,
Yeah. I think.
Kathmandu.
Yeah. Thereabouts. Yeah. That book was amazing, and
Very
definitely made me like cry tears of restored faith in humanity.
Yeah. Lovely.
Yeah, so I enjoyed that book. I think I read that not too long ago. But
Another one I might recommend is I think it's called Wonderland,
Wonderland.
and it's by I can't remember his name, but I read another book by him too. Wonderland is his take on how play or enjoyment or entertainment created new technologies. One of them being cotton, how they could, the industrial mills. Women wanted fancier clothing and cloth, so they came up with a way of making of getting cotton and making a cheaper cloth and a better cloth than wool.
Okay, interesting.
And then he goes on to more other things. Like the real interesting one was video games.
Yeah.
A lot of what computers did at the beginning was games.
Right, right.
And so then that's how we got most of the technology.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so he did many of those things. How play got us to, or a desire for other foods like salt. Or,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you happen to remember the title of that book?
That's Wonderland.
All right,
I just can't
Wonderland.
remember his
Okay.
name. Then the other book that he
That's
did
fascinating.
was let's see, he took he did cleanliness. I don't remember what they are. And he for like cleanliness, he talks about how things were just so gross. Way back, and they started to clean things up, and in that process we learned and evolved. The discovery of glass. At first, when they discovered glass, they got the printing press, great invention, but when glasses came, they discovered nobody could read. They couldn't see.
Right. Huh.
Most people couldn't see because their eyes were bad.
Huh.
So then they had to get glass and make glasses. And so he's got, I think glass might be one, cleanliness is one, and just fascinating stuff. And he writes really, it's not like reading a history book either. It's really
Right, right.
I don't remember his name.
Interesting. All right, we'll have to look that up. Wonderland.
Yeah.
Wonderland.
Yeah.
Huh.
Wonderland is his most latest one. The earlier one, I'm not going to remember the name, but
Fair enough.
I love them both.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What was your name, by the way?
Jenny.
Jenny? I'm Daniel.
Hey, Daniel.
Nice to meet you. I appreciate you taking the time to tell me more about your book.
Are you a local?
I am, yeah. I live in Bird Rock. Do you live around here as well, or? No? Okay, you're just visiting for vacation?
Visiting my son.
Okay.
We live in New Hampshire.
Wow, okay, that's a very, very different climate than down here. So you must
It hasn't
be...
snowed yet.
Oh, really? Okay, okay.
It hasn't snowed yet, but it actually did. It did snow, but it didn't stay long.
Okay, okay.
Last week.
Well, this is a nice place to come, in November from the East Coast,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
very cool. Is your son in school around here, or is
He's
he?
actually, he works at UCSD. He's an engineer.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Nice.
We're meeting him for lunch in about 15 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'll let you get back to your book, but I appreciate it again.
It's fun talking to you.
Yeah. Likewise. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm done with the warm up now. I think talked to like 3 people. One lady with headphones in just like totally just wouldn't stop, and that's okay. Got rejected. One of the things I'm realizing is that as I was walking down the boardwalk, I realized that like I didn't actually see that many people listening to music on the beach. So we'll see if I find those people, and I'll approach those people. But if I don't, I'm actually going to modify this a little bit based on my last warm-up. I'm actually also going to like stop and ask people who are reading on the beach what they're reading, and try to learn a little bit more about that. And one of the things I'm already realizing is that like while everyone listens to music and I enjoy music as much as the next schmuck, I'm actually really like very passionate about reading, I guess. I don't know if passionate's the right word. I really enjoy reading. I read a lot, and like I very much enjoy talking about books. Whereas I think that I'm like less fluent in communicating about music. Like I have my kind of music that I listen to, and I have a very hard time appreciating music outside of that, honestly. Whereas books, I'm always able to appreciate. And like it's always interesting to understand a little more about why people read what they read. And I'll try to follow kind of like similar pathways on music. See what happens. There are definitely some people here who are like sunbathing and like listening to music, so like I really don't want to bother them, but I guess that's part of the challenge here. And there are also probably going to be people who are like sitting here like with their families, and I'm going to like walk up and bother them, which makes me uncomfortable. really does. So let's do this. Just go for 10 reps here. Excuse me, ma'am. I know this is really random, but I was wondering what you're listening to.
Jaden Smith album.
Jaden Smith album. Could you tell me a little more about the album, and I have not heard of Jaden Smith myself, but very curious. Wilson. Oh wait, really? He does music?
This is like his first album.
Oh really?
It's actually pretty good.
It is? Okay. Hip hoppy. Okay. Okay. Can you give me a sense of like what else you like generally listen? I mostly listen to like alternative and like Coldplay, One Republic kind of thing.
Okay.
Is this sort of like out of my comfort zone here with the hip hop, Jaden Smith? You think, or pretty similar? No.
To alternative?
It sounds like it's pretty different, but
No, it's not. It's pretty different.
pretty different. Pretty
It's
different.
More synthetic.
More synthetic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Well, hey, thanks.
No problem.
Yeah. All right. I could have been a lot more smooth about that, but I did it. Probably learn a little as I go here. Kind of like got uncomfortable and decided I didn't want to keep talking because I didn't know what else to say. So noped out. She was probably like, "What the fuck just happened?" I'm kind of like, "What the fuck just happened?" But she actually talked to me, which was cool. Excuse me, ma'am. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
The Omnivore's Dilemma?
Omnivore's Dilemma. What's it about?
It's just looking at food systems, especially in like industrial countries like the U.S.
Okay.
And just some of the problems that are arising in terms of health, but also in terms of like the environment and the systems
Oh, interesting.
behind why we like grow our food the way we do.
Okay, so there's sort of an undercurrent here of like exposing the unsustainable ways that we do things. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Do you
Yeah.
do you follow a particular diet yourself? I'm kind of curious, like what led you to this book? Or
I'm really interested in
Uh-huh.
kind of how our systems play out with our personal decisions and like the idea that we perceive a lot of choice, but there's also a lot of like stuff behind it.
uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like how
But
does
this was recommended to me by a professor.
by a professor? Okay. Are you a student here, like UCSD or
I
like
go to school out of state.
out of state? Oh, you're here for vacation then,
Yeah,
or
Thanksgiving.
this is a nice place for vacation.
Yeah. Are you a student at the U?
I'm not. No, I just a local in La Jolla. I live in Bird Rock. If you know where that is.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Just it's a nice day for the beach. Thought I like to read a lot and
Yeah.
curious about what people are reading.
Yeah.
always-
recommend.
Yeah.
It's not a very heavy read. I mean, it's
Okay.
designed to be accessible.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I always worry with books like this that I'm gonna like get mired in details and sort of like fall asleep
Yeah.
on page 10 and.
Yeah, no. I think he does a good job of incorporating like scientific research as well as like some of the like basic biology parts.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important to see that there are like more holistic perspectives to like
Right.
we raise meat to eat. Well, yeah, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Kind of like factory meats. Yeah.
Right, versus like organic. or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting,
Huh.
especially if you're into like food systems. which-
Right. Or even just the environment, which I imagine this has a lot of
Yeah.
impact on, right?
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Very cool. Well, hey, I appreciate your taking the time to explain that to me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yeah. Well, have a nice day. Enjoy your vacation.
Hey.
That one better. All right, you got a family here. Let's try this. Excuse me, sir. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
This?
Yeah.
John Grisham book?
I haven't heard of it.
Oh, The Whistler?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good book. One of his many.
Okay.
You read
Okay.
his stuff before?
Not by John Grisham. I've heard his name, but have never tried him out. Is this one of the books that you would recommend if I were just starting to get into John Grisham, or?
Yeah, he's got a. Gosh, what other books does he have? I read Pelican Brief, The Firm. Those are some of his earlier ones. If you
Okay.
like those? Well, this.
Okay.
I think this is more recent. I have not read all of them.
These sound like thrillers. Is that right, or
He's a former lawyer.
Oh,
They're
okay.
all legal based.
legal based?
Yeah, different scenarios. So yeah.
Oh, interesting. So how does that? This is a work of fiction. It looks like, right? Like
Yeah, almost all of his art.
how does that work? As I guess it's like a legal dilemma. Like,
Yeah, just different scenarios, different situations. This
Huh.
one's about a corrupt judge on an Indian reservation and a bunch of other things. So
Okay, okay, I can see how that would be interesting. I was kind of, yeah, I couldn't imagine that before, but
Yeah, no, you'll find a lot about him if you haven't heard of him.
Okay.
Online, so yeah, he's a pretty popular writer. He's one of the
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out.
All
Well,
right.
thank you.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. Good luck.
it. Excuse me, ma'am. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you'd be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
About this book?
Yes.
This is actually the second time I'm reading it.
Really?
I read it, I have a 3-year-old, and so I read it before I had him too.
Okay.
But I'm feeling like I need to read quickly because I'm joining it.
I see. Okay, yeah, okay, so it's a book about pregnancy.
It's a book about, yeah, but this mindful meditation
Yep.
is not just for birthing,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
for other things too.
I'm familiar. Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you heard of Headspace by any chance?
No, I haven't.
It's a mobile app
Uh-huh.
that basically does mindful meditation. Yeah, it's really cool. If you haven't checked it out, you should.
Headspace.
Yeah. I don't know if they have anything about like pregnancy necessarily, but they have lots of.
Might, though.
Yeah, they might actually. Yeah. I mean, I'm not looking for things about pregnancy, obviously, so it
Right.
doesn't really occur to me.
Right,
But
right.
no, it's this guy who went and did. I think he like stayed in a monastery somewhere in Asia for a long time, then came back and basically does like guided meditations over a mobile app, and they actually like train you to do the meditations, right? Like
Yep, that's
takes
what this
practice,
is
right?
too. Yep.
Interesting. So is this like a bunch of exercises as well, or like?
This author, yeah, so she is actually a midwife and she learned mindful meditation for herself, for,
Okay.
you know, like other things.
Yeah,
And she realized it would be useful for her patients who were giving birth.
I see.
So she started teaching mindful birthing
Okay.
and meditation skills that were relevant for labor. and birth.
Right.
Yep.
So I know that I'm personally never going to need those skills, but I'm very curious if you'd be willing to explain to me like an exercise or like which part of mindfulness I guess like helps with which part of
So what
the process.
she mainly talks about is how to deal with pain, obviously.
That makes
but what
sense.
you would do during pain.
Okay.
So like breathing exercises and that, you know, a contraction is only 60 seconds long.
Okay.
So if you breathe and count 1, 2, 3, you know, you're gonna get, it's really only gonna be 10 seconds of like true pain that you're focused on. To
Interesting.
take your mind off of
What's going on? Right. That's interesting because a lot of mindfulness that I hear about is like, how do you stay present?
Present in the
Right. Yeah. Right. Okay. Which I guess means like in this case like not getting too caught up in the pain, right? Like, interesting. Very
and
interesting.
Kind of embracing the pain, really.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
To have the full experience, you have to embrace the pain.
Right. Like don't resist it and right. Like yeah, that makes sense. That sounds very similar to other things that I've
Yep.
read about mindfulness.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's an appropriate thing to say, honestly,
Yeah,
but that's very interesting. I really appreciate your taking
And
the time.
Honestly, it's my second time reading the book because
Okay.
I had an amazing delivery the first time. It was easy.
Amazing delivery. I haven't talked to many pregnant women, but
Not many would say that,
I was gonna guess that that's probably true. Okay,
It wasn't
interesting.
that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
No.
Interesting. All right. Well, I will have to remember this someday for the future or for friends. I don't know. Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, books are easier for me. I'm avoiding some people with headphones in favor of books, so I'm gonna have to try a little harder there. Excuse me, sir. I know this is random, but I'm wondering if you might be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
What's that?
I wonder if you'd be, Hunter's Run.
Yeah, it's 3 authors that got together and created a sci-fi.
Oh, interesting.
Uh,
Are they sci-fi authors originally, or are they?
no, John Martin's the one that wrote Game of Thrones.
Oh, wow. Wait.
So this is his first one into sci-fi.
Okay. So should I be mad that he's not writing Game of Thrones and he wrote this instead, or?
Could be. I don't think he's ever going to go back and finish the books that he originally thought about writing.
Now that the TV series is like wrapping up, yeah,
Well,
that's
they,
fair.
They went probably 3 books past what he wrote.
Right.
In the TV series.
Right.
I don't think he'll go back and do that.
Right.
Why would he?
That's fair. He's making plenty of money off of the TV series, I'm sure, right? And
So yeah, I don't know. This one's really new, I think.
okay, are you enjoying it so far, or
Yeah, it's okay.
so far?
Yeah.
Okay, you sound like on the fence though, like skeptical that it will really impress you by the end, or?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Did you pick it up because of George R. R. Martin, or? Interesting. Okay.
I thought, well, it's always interesting to read something that
Right.
they branch out to something else.
Right. Right.
A lot of times you get 2, 3 authors together and they can make a pretty good story out of it. But I don't know, it's been kind of weird so far.
Being kind of weird so far. Okay. Would you mind telling me a little more about the plot? I guess maybe don't spoil anything just in case. But
Well,
Hunter's Run.
It's an alien world, and he went out and was going to mine something and blew up a mountain, and the aliens come out.
Interesting. Okay.
That's about it. That's part of it.
Wow. Okay. It took them half the book to get that far. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Pretty slow going.
Okay. That's fair. That's fair. Do you read a lot of sci-fi otherwise, or it's kind of a first foray for you, or like?
I did more
Historical
historical novels.
novels. Okay. I have to ask before I let you go back to your book. I apologize. If you could only recommend one book, let's say in the historical novel genre, what would you recommend I read? I know that's a tough question, but
Yeah, there's so many.
yeah, right. I hate this question too, but
No,
first thing that comes to mind, maybe, I don't know.
Read them all.
Read them all.
Yeah.
That seems like a gargantuan, impossible task, but you know, I will attempt.
Just stack them up.
Where do I start? Maybe that's the right question. Where do I start?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many different books.
Right.
My mother-in-law is a librarian, and we end up stacks them up. I normally have a stack about that high of books.
Wow. You must read a lot then.
A couple of weeks, something like that.
Couple a week. That's quite impressive. All right. Well, I appreciate your time, and thanks very much.
Yeah.
Enjoy your book. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you might be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm wondering if you might be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
It's Margaret Atwood's The Edible Movie.
Interesting. What's it about?
I'm just beginning.
Just beginning?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, what drew you to the book?
It's not mine. It's a friend's book.
Okay, so they recommended it, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Have you read other books by Margaret Atwood before, or?
No.
No. Okay.
My first book.
Interesting. Okay. What do you normally read? I guess, like, is this fairly different from what you normally read, or?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think so. Yeah.
This is.
Do you know the Handmaid's Tale, the TV drama?
You know, someone else mentioned that to me because I asked someone else what they were reading, and they were also reading Margaret Atwood. Yeah, I haven't seen it myself. No.
I recommend.
You do?
Yeah.
Is it on Netflix or is it Hulu?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that. What is The Handmaid's Tale about? And is it like a dystopian world? Okay.
And some woman for reproduction.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, for reproduction. Sorry, my English is
No, that's
very-
totally okay. Well, what's your native language?
Oh, Turkish.
Turkish.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I don't speak any Turkish. I wish I could converse with you in Turkish, but I can't even try. Your English is great. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. It's very, very interesting as
Uh-huh.
I strictly recommend it. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Dystopian society where some women are purely for reproduction and. Huh. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Hey, I appreciate your taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Enjoy your book.
Thank you.
Excuse me, miss. Excuse me. Hi, sorry to bother you. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you might be willing to tell me a little bit more about what you're reading.
I'm 2 pages in.
Why'd you pick up the book?
Because it was $1.
It's $1.
Yeah.
Okay, it sounds like you Australian accent, is that right?
British.
British. I'm sorry. Oh, I have no ear for accents. Did someone recommend it, or
No.
just because it's cheap?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, what is the general gist of what you think it's about so far? I'm curious.
Literally 2 pages in. I can't even tell you.
Okay, that's fair. Well, thanks very much. Have a nice day. Excuse me, miss. Excuse me. I know this is random, but I'm wondering if you might tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
I'm listening to Glitter and Glass
by Scott.
Yeah, S-K-O-T-T.
Is that what genre of music is that?
Don't know.
So that, like, it sounds like it'd probably be more like electronic, or
Yeah.
yeah?
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Would you recommend it? Is this something you listen to a lot, or?
Yeah, I listen to some a lot, yeah.
Okay. And I guess like in the category of electronic music, is this like, I don't listen to very much electronic music myself. I'm kind of like trying to learn more about what other people are listening to, and it kind of expand my music horizons here. So, what would you recommend in that category? Like,
I don't really listen to it a lot. It's just because I heard the song on a TV show and I liked it.
okay,
So,
Glitter and Gold by Scott.
Glitter and Gloss.
Gloss, Glitter and Gloss by Scott.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check that out. Thanks very much. Awkward. Excuse me, sir. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you might tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
Oh, I'm just listening to music on the radio.
What radio station?
I don't know. I'm from Chicago.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Is it like internet
Coldplay.
radio or like
No, Coldplay.
Coldplay?
Yeah, that's about it, man.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You here on vacation or?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, you picked a good spot for vacation. I'll let you get
Sure.
back to it.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Excuse me, miss. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you might be willing to tell me a little more about what you're reading.
Why?
I'm just curious. Could you tell me more about this stupid thriller? What's the general plot? I don't know. Like, who's it by? What drew you to it?
I was staying somewhere in Mexico and they didn't, I ran out of books, so
Okay.
I found it there and I just picked it up and started reading.
So you were like, you walked into like a bookstore in Mexico and you're like, oh hey, here's a book. This will keep me occupied.
No, it was at the place where the house where I was staying and somebody had left it there. So
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it wasn't really like a deliberate, conscious choice, but you were like, I'm bored and like.
No.
So it sounds like you're enjoying it enough to keep reading it, but like not so much that you would recommend it to someone. Because you were almost bashful that you're reading it, and I asked you what it was.
Yeah, well, it's not usually the genre that I would read, so.
Okay. Well, what is the genre that you would normally read?
I have a degree in Spanish and like Latin American literature. So
Oh wow. Okay.
I read a lot in Spanish, sure, but.
Okay. I can't read Spanish myself, but if let's say like you could only recommend one book that would like introduce me to this entire topic area, what should I read? And are there translations in English?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. If you haven't read like 100 Years of Solitude, that's
I have not.
one of my favorites.
Okay.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez. It's like definitely.
That title's familiar. Can you remind me what that's about, or?
It's it's kind of an epic story of a family. Do you know who Marquez is? He's like.
I don't. I have a degree in computer science, which means I know very little about the world, but I know a lot about computers, and it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you like to read though?
I do like to read. That's actually why I'm out here and I'm asking people about what they're reading. If you're like,
you're going around.
I'm getting book recommendations. Yeah, it's also sort of an interesting way to practice conversational skills. Honestly, like this gets me out of my comfort zone. Like, because some people really don't want to talk. Some people do, and like. I normally don't like bothering people at all, let alone like asking them about what they're doing. So I appreciate your putting up with this, by the way, firstly. But no, I haven't heard of Marquez.
He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. I mean, he's a Colombian writer, and he kind of like is in this genre of like realism and magic kind of mixed together. And,
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he kind of tells like epic family tales and stuff. And,
Okay, so it's a work of fiction then, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really like teaches you a lot about like Colombian like culture and stuff. And I don't know. I really he's really good, and that's one of my favorite books by him. And
100 Years of Solitude. Okay, that sounds like a good bet for a book that I should really read. I appreciate that.
I've read it a few times, and my husband is reading. I don't know if you heard of Clive Cussler.
I have not. Clive Cussler. Tell me more.
My husband doesn't usually read these kind of books either, but we scuba dive, and he's like a big scuba diver, so
Oh,
his
cool.
character scuba dives.
Okay, are you guys from around here? Or are you here on vacation?
We live here now. We're
Nice.
just here for
Nice.
6 months. So.
Nice. Have you guys done the diving off the coast here, or?
My husband lived here like 10 years ago.
Okay.
This is where he used to take people diving.
Nice.
Here,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Yeah, I've done the La Jolla Shores dive like once. I actually was.
Really?
I was really underwhelmed myself because the water wasn't very clear that day. So it was like, I saw a lot of like sea hares and things like that. But have you guys? It sounds like you guys dive a lot. Like have you found somewhere around here that like you would absolutely recommend I do like before I die, or like, or somewhere else in the world that I absolutely must go and see underwater before I die?
Are you really into diving?
Well, it's funny actually you asked that question. Diving for me is similar to what I'm doing now, which is I dive because I'm terrified of like open ocean.
Oh, really?
So it's like also kind of a comfort expanding experience for me. But I have had some really cool experiences. Like I went diving in Nice in France.
Oh, cool.
And that was kind of like Mediterranean.
Yeah.
You could see like 60 feet out there. And that was amazing. It was like clear blue water.
Yeah.
And I was kind of expecting that in San Diego. You know, I'm a local as well, so I'm like, you know, like, oh, you know, San Diego's nice, right? Like, beautiful beaches. The water's often very clear, and that wasn't my experience here. So.
No, I don't think it's like that much here. Nice is
Okay.
beautiful, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
We went to Bon Air last week. And
Bon
it was
Air.
Like, it's in South America. I guess it's right next to Venezuela. And
Okay.
Cuba.
Okay.
But it's an island, and it's basically just for divers. So
Oh, wow.
If you want to go on an awesome dive trip, it's like the perfect place to go.
Okay.
You don't need a boat. You don't need anything. You can just walk outside and go in the water and dive. You don't need guides. It's like really easy diving.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, I worry about my own diving competency to go without a guide.
Oh, really?
To be totally honest with you.
That's fair. No, you're right.
I've been on like maybe 6 dives.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, like.
Yeah, you're probably not ready to go.
Yeah,
by
I'm
yourself.
working up to it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Like.
It's definitely. I had a really good time. I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'll have to remember that. My like family is thinking about going to South America for like Christmas, which is hilarious because we still have not like booked anything. It's like basically here, right? But we were thinking about Peru, which sounds like it may be semi-close to Bon Air. I don't know.
Well, Peru's kind of on the other side.
Okay, my South American geography is showing. I'm clearly awful at this, but.
Like, Venezuela, and then on this side it's like.
Okay. I see. Okay, all right. I'll have to. Yeah, I don't know. We're not sold on Peru yet, so I'll have to remember that.
Why are you going to Peru?
You know, someone. There's 4 of us, and someone was like, "Oh yeah, Peru's cool," and the rest of us are just like, "Oh yeah, okay, sure."
Like you guys want to go to Machu Picchu for Christmas or something?
I think that we were thinking about that. Yeah, actually, but you know a lot about South America, right? So.
Yeah, my husband's from South America.
Okay, cool. Where would you recommend going over the holidays in
I don't know.
South America? Let's say, actually, I'm a New Year's baby.
Oh, so am I.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
I've actually never met another New Year's baby. So this is really weird for me now, actually. But one of the things I like to do, and I imagine you can relate to this now, is like New Year's Eve is actually really fun because it feels a little more special. It feels like people are celebrating the coming of your birthday and everything, right? So I try to go to a new place for New Year's Eve every year.
Cool.
And I'm wondering if you know of a place in South America that you would absolutely recommend for that.
I don't know. Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
No, I mean, hey, no big deal, right? Like, honestly, so long as it's different from what I've experienced so far, it really doesn't matter, right? Like,
I mean, I've never been to Machu Picchu. I've been to like Lima and I've been to like the Amazon.
Okay.
But I haven't done like Machu Picchu, like the Inca Trail or anything. I
Yeah.
mean, I've heard that that's absolutely amazing. I'm sure if you did that, it would be like a life-changing experience.
okay,
If
that's
your
fair.
family's up for it, then I
Right.
think it's a lot of like you have to be pretty good.
They're not very athletic, yeah. No, I think I'd be literally carrying all 3 of them on my back, and like, yeah, that would be
I mean,
rough.
It's a good time of year. Like my husband's from Chile. It's a really
Okay.
good time of year to go to Chile. It's summer.
Yeah.
Summer's starting there, so it's really
Oh,
nice
okay,
down there.
yeah.
You can go to the south. They actually have like penguins and stuff down there. Like,
Oh,
it's
really?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like he's from the far south of the
Okay.
country. So it's
Interesting.
Really, yeah, it's cool down there.
Interesting.
It's nice that your family goes away and stuff on your birthday.
Yeah, well, it's sort of a recent thing. I kind of strong-armed into it, honestly, because I got kind of tired of like doing the whole like San Diego same thing every year. We don't actually do that much here in San Diego for New Year's, honestly. I feel
Really?
like. Well, I don't know. Do we like?
I mean, I just moved here. Like my husband's been here before. I just
Okay.
moved here like a month ago.
Oh,
so,
fair. Okay,
like,
so you wouldn't know. That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't know. I always just had like friends over for like party on New Year's Eve, and that's fun. It's nice. You kind of get to like, catch up with people. And but actually last year I was in Switzerland, right?
Wow.
Yeah, I got to experience that for New Year's Eve. The year before, I was in Sydney in Australia.
Oh my god.
Wow. And it's just kind of cool, I think, to like experience like, you know, different cultures. Well, they all kind of celebrate it more or less the same way, but it's like, it's a different experience every time. And Sydney, for example, they had like 5 or 6 separate fireworks shows going on over the harbor. They're all the same fireworks show, but it's like very cool to see that on like sort of the backdrop of like they have the harbor bridge and everything. And so I don't know. I'm just trying to like explore a little more, as opposed to like knowing exactly what I'm going to get on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
With
I don't know. Yeah. I've heard like I kind of want to go to San Miguel de Allende. Have you ever heard of that?
No, tell me more.
It's like it's a place it's a city in Mexico. But
Okay.
like, Mexico has like a list of cities that are considered like, I'm using the word magic again, but they have like magic villages.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
they're
Okay.
supposed to be like, they're kind of like mysticky and like really, really different. And it's one of the big ones. And now it's a World Heritage Site, so I don't even think it's listed as that anymore. But it's just like, it's beautiful. It's a colonial city, so it's very European looking.
Huh.
And it's like kind of, I don't know, it just looks really like interesting, and like the food is kind of different there too. I don't know
Okay.
if you're into food.
I don't know. Actually, I am very into food, so yes, it's a good recommendation.
I think they have really good food there and stuff. But if you just look
Okay.
it up, like it's such a beautiful city. There's nothing quite like it. So I really want to go there. I'm gonna try to go actually this
Okay,
year.
I will have to think about that. I think Mexico got vetoed for some reason, but I may have to talk everyone else back out of
So
that.
close. And if you go
It
to
is,
Tijuana,
yeah.
the tickets are so inexpensive.
Right.
You fly out of there. So.
Oh wait, really? I never thought of doing that before. That's
Yeah.
genius, actually.
My husband's recruiter, like he's a nurse's recruiter,
Uh-huh.
did that. She did it like last week. She went down to Cabo, and her ticket was like $100. I think.
Wow. So you basically just drive down to Tijuana, you fly out of the airport there, and
I don't even think you have to drive. I think you can walk across to the airport. It's like they have it set up so it's like really easy to like just get right over to the airport.
that's ingenious.
Yeah,
I can't believe I never thought of this before.
Yeah, she told me about it, and then she's going to San Miguel, and so I was thinking about like looking at tickets from there. So yeah, I guess it's a lot cheaper.
Huh.
That way, so.
Okay. Well, I learned a lot. I'm really glad I ran into you. 100 Years of Solitude, Chile, Tijuana Airport. Awesome. What was your name?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. I'm Daniel. It was nice meeting you. Have a nice day. Enjoy your thriller. One more, I think. Just one more. Excuse me, miss. I'm wondering, I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you could tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
Oh, I'm listening to Tell 'em Steve Dave. It's a podcast.
Oh, interesting. What's it about?
It's about these guys who work at a comic book store in New Jersey.
Okay.
It's just them talking about stuff.
Talking about comics or just like...
Not usually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So,
Do you know who Kevin Smith is?
I do not.
Okay. He's a filmmaker, and these are friends of his from high school.
Okay.
And so I don't know if that's how they. Then they have their own TV show now that's kind of based on the podcast called Comic Book Men on
Comic
AMC.
book man. Okay. Okay.
But again, that's about comics, and this podcast really isn't.
Sounds like this podcast is kind of like a talk show. Is that right? Or like?
Kind of. I mean,
Okay.
it's just, yeah, it's like super duper inside jokey.
Okay.
Blah blah blah. But,
Okay. Interesting. How did you get into it?
I was really into Kevin Smith's movies when I was in high school.
Okay.
And so I listened to his podcast first, and then they.
That was the gateway drug. And,
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
and
Interesting.
Now I'm kind of off. I mean, I listen to his here and there, but I always listen to this one. I've never missed.
Okay. I see. And is his podcast pretty similar to this one in a lot of ways, or okay?
Similar-ish, yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like them bullshitting. Sometimes it's topical. Sometimes they have a guest, but a lot of time it's just like
Banter or?
totally. Yeah,
Really?
banter,
Interesting.
yes.
And that sells, or
I
or
mean,
people listen to
I
it.
don't think it's never ever gonna be on the top 10 iTunes podcasts.
Sure, right,
Ever.
right.
But I mean, it got them a TV show. It's in its like
Right.
8th season or something like that on AMC. It's
That's impressive, actually.
it's,
Yeah.
The
That's not
Walking
small.
Dead, and then The Talking Dead, and then their show. So it's like they have a good lead in and
Huh.
stuff. So
It sounds like the right kind of crowd too, right?
yeah,
Like yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
exactly. They have the right lead in for their show, for their audience.
Right. Interesting. So are you much into comic books yourself then, or
Not
like?
really. I mean, I feel like I fall into that genre of person, but
Okay.
I'm not like. I have been to Comic-Con a couple times.
Right,
I
right.
like other like adjacent nerdy things, but
Right.
I'm not really into comic books.
I understand that. I enjoy everything, but I've never actually gotten into the comic books themselves.
Yeah.
It's like it
I'm
feels
a
like there's a barrier.
designer, so I feel like I kind of like move in that.
Oh, really?
Like it's kind of like very part of the work, kind of, to be into pop culture stuff, and I feel like
Right.
comics are that kind of thing. Like pop
Interesting.
culture-y.
Oh, okay, interesting. Huh, very cool. Well, thank you for explaining that to me. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
sure, no
Yeah,
problem.
have a nice day.
You too.
Excuse me, sir. I know this is really random, but I'm wondering if you might tell me a little more about what you're listening to.
Family radio, you ever listen to it?
Family radio, no. Tell me more.
Oh man, listen to it for a while.
Okay,
It's the best Christian radio station in the whole world.
interesting. Okay.
Nothing but Christian, all Christian hymns, Bible teaching,
Okay.
Bible doctrine.
I see. So is it mostly singing, or is it also like sermons, or?
It's teaching, it's 24 hours. It's teaching, it's hymns, it's songs, it's a lot of teaching.
Huh, interesting.
about Scripture, yeah.
Huh, very cool. Interesting.
91.0 AM.
91.0 AM. Okay, so it's a local station.
That's out of El Cajon.
El Cajon. Okay.
But he's got translators. He translated it. This man translated it to every language
Uh-huh.
across the whole country.
Okay.
I mean, across the whole world.
Right.
They can even hear this in China and Japan.
Wow.
Yep, because he set up translators.
Wow.
Years ago, he started it in the 1950s.
Wow. It's quite an undertaking.
Yeah. And if you even look at this, they tell us that a lot of the Chinese are communists. Communists, they say.
Uh-huh.
Where is it? It's here anyway. Made
Printed in China.
And they say they're murdering people for Christians over in China, and yet they're sending us Bibles.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, this is a fantastic radio station.
I'll have to check it out.
Well,
Well, hey, I appreciate your taking the time to enlighten me. What was your name?
Michael,
Michael? Thanks, Michael. I'm Daniel. It's nice meeting you.
I betcha.
All right. Take care. Have a nice day.
Listen to it sometime, any time of the day, turn it on.
Sounds good. Thanks very much. 91.0 AM. All right, I'll check that out. Thank you. All right, well, done with that. I've actually been out here long enough now that my phone is running out of battery, and long enough that I really wish I had brought sunscreen and wore it. I was feeling that I'm gonna have sunburns on my face at the end of the day, but yeah, that was interesting. You know, I screwed up with the video again, and actually twice the camera was flipped the wrong way. So I'm really good at that. But yeah, I don't know if I got to 10 exactly. I kind of lost count. Like, you know, when you actually get into a conversation with someone, it takes a little while. So this is a longer video, and it's also a longer challenge. Couple things I noticed. I definitely struggle personally, just like me, struggle with talking to people about music. It's just, as I kind of expected, isn't really a topic that like I'm fluent enough in, or like genuinely interested enough in to like talk for hours about. Books, on the other hand, I could talk for like days with people about books, and it like almost doesn't matter what kind of book they're reading. But I think part of it is also that with music, when people are just kind of like on the beach or, you know, somewhere on their way and they're just listening to something, they're usually not very intentional about it. And I think this is true about how I listen to music as well. Like, it's not really like I choose a song and I put it on repeat, right? And I was like very intentional about choosing that song. It's usually more like I'm listening to a playlist or a radio station or something like that. And so like asking someone what they're listening to in this moment is like, it has less meaning to them than, for example, a podcast, right? If they chose a podcast, they specifically chose that podcast, it's easier to talk about that. Or a book, right? Like a book takes a little bit of commitment to get into. And so if someone's reading a book, it's easier to talk to them about like why they're reading that particular book, and, you know, other books that they're into, things like that. So, you know, I had a couple of interactions there. I think the ones about books were honestly the most natural for me. Actually, a lot of them were really enjoyable. I did like pick up some book titles that I actually really do want to check out now. conversations I had about music, I like personally got very little out of, but they were tough for me. They were challenging for me. A couple of those conversations were honestly really awkward because I just like ran out of things to say and like didn't know how to keep going, but like felt like I should continue trying to keep up this random conversation with this random person who really doesn't necessarily need to talk to me, right? Versus with the books, it was like very easy for me to be like genuinely interested, and like despite the fact that it was weird for me to like ask people what they're reading, I think that the fact that I was so clearly interested like kind of dissolves a lot of that. But yeah, this was cool. I talked to like a bunch of different kinds of people. I know it doesn't come out on video because the video was turned the wrong way, but talked to both men and women of lots of different ages, some older men, some younger men, some older women, some younger women. I think that like probably honestly like approaching younger women on a beach is not something that like I personally would do, generally speaking, and that's just like a whole separate issue for me. It's just like approaching women in general is not something I enjoy doing, and approaching women on a beach in particular kind of makes me feel like a pickup artist, which I don't really enjoy. I think there was a couple interactions there where people were just like, why do you care about this? Why do you want to talk to me? And I think especially with the younger women, I could see that they were like a little more alarmed in some ways, like probably a little more on guard, because maybe they're expecting me to be doing something like trying to turn this into like a conversation about like their phone number or something like that. I don't really know. I honestly can't empathize enough to know exactly what's going through their head. I'm just assuming. But I did notice that those conversations was tougher, probably both because I come across different when I'm more nervous about that interaction, but also because I think there's more maybe just like an expectation that there's like an ulterior motive. But regardless, this did get me out of my comfort zone quite a bit. I did have to like really like get in there and bother people. There are a couple people who I like had to kind of stand there and like say excuse me like 2 or 3 times, and it turned out they were reading a book and they were listening to something kind of thing. I definitely avoided the like people listening to something conversations more. So I think I ended up getting more books than people listening to things. And a lot of that was just, again, subconsciously, because like I knew that the book conversations would go better for me, and I had already had a couple awkward conversations with the music. So yeah, you know, I actually, honestly, I could see myself doing this like again. I think this was like, I could see myself doing this like for fun, just to like meet people and have interesting conversations about like books, for example. So yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe I will do this more regularly. Definitely gets me out of my comfort zone, kind of flexes those muscles, and I really did learn some interesting things today. So anyway, I'll be back for day 23 tomorrow, Thanksgiving. I have something fun planned for tomorrow, so catch me then.